What's up, everyone? This is Jay from Revolution Radio. So, today we have learned that 700,000 Americans face the fear of being deported. For what, you might ask? Nothing. Nothing. In fact, they are far more um, legal. It's a weird way to say that, but they follow the rules better than most. Uh, Donald Trump's administration. See, they argue that since Obama's administration created DACA, that the Trump administration should be able to dissolve DACA. That's the argument. Now, it seems interesting because Donald Trump himself, on multiple times, has said, I love the Dreamers. The Dreamers are good people. Yeah. Then he tweeted today that the Dreamers are not only not children, but they are far from angels. To me, it sounds like he's working on a political promise, and that's it. And that's fine. I mean, that's what we're used to. Sell out people for in the name of politics. So you can have that catchy line. Well, he got rid of the Dreamers. That's what we wanted. Yeah. Um, it's disturbing. It's disturbing that that's become a norm in American politics. Most other countries would find us insane. But this all is set on the precipice of us finding out about Stephen Miller's emails. You might ask, who's Stephen Miller? Stephen Miller is a boil on the ass of cancer pretending to be a human. If you don't also know him, he's a giant four-headed asshole who is one of the top advisors in the White House. He is the architect of our policies at the southern border. It was his idea to separate the families. He said that it would discourage them from trying to come here anymore, knowingly separating them. So, and in his words too, he said if they never see their family again, well, that will discourage anyone else from trying to get over here as well. And we can go through, and I've broken it down multiple times, how what he did was not only unconstitutional, but just douchebaggery. The fact that that is how they were applying for asylum, and he chose to punish them, which, that's the argument, right? Well, we wouldn't mind them here if they came here legally. Well, that's what they're trying to do when they apply for asylum, and you take them and you separate them. Don't misunderstand that. It's not like they only separated the people that they caught trying to sneak across the border. No, the people who checked in at the border were the ones who were separated from their family. You might say, okay, fair enough. But what about the Dreamers? What about the DACA recipients? Well, to counter Trump's point of they are far from angels, the reality is to maintain your status as a DACA recipient, you must maintain a criminal-free status. You can't commit a crime. Once you do, your status is jeopardized and you could be sent back to your country. Now, many of these, in fact, almost all of our DACA recipients in this country came here when they were children, and they are Americans. They were some actually born here, others arriving when they were the age of 2 or 3. And this is the only life they've ever known. It's their country. And we have a racist assbag trying to kick them out for political popularity. Or just to keep his job in the White House. One of the two. Doesn't matter, really. And how do I know that Stephen Miller is a racist? I know he's a racist because I've read the emails. Not all of them, of course, because not all of them have been leaked. But the ones that I have read, he does a fine job at representing racist douchebags and white nationalism in a whole. Um, Pretty typical stuff in these emails. And I say typical because for those of us who have paid attention, have monitored politics, there's certain, I don't know, there's certain keywords that you hear. There's certain literature that people are drawn to. One of them is Camp of the Saints. Camp of the Saints is a propaganda book. It's a French book from, I believe, 18 something 1870s, I want to say. I'm probably wrong on the year, but look it up. Don't read it. It's garbage, but it's propaganda, um, complete propaganda about immigration. And it these emails were acquired by a editor from Breitbart. McHughes is her name. I don't know her first name off the top of my head. I'm just looking at an article now. Uh, anyway, and I will give you kind of a preview of these interviews or of these emails. The reason why, by the way, that these emails got leaked was McHughes, who was part of Breitbart. She got fired from Breitbart in 2017 for making a anti-Semitic or anti-Muslim tweet. I can't remember which one it was. Honestly, doesn't matter. I'm sure she, whatever. And surprisingly, got fired from Breitbart. And then she just recently denounced the alt-right altogether, and I some of her sayings, she basically says that it was like a cult atmosphere and blah 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 blah. But anyway, she decided to give these emails to the Southern Law Poverty Group. Anyway, in the email that we have, and again, I'm only going to read a couple off because um, I don't have time, and you don't. It'd be better for you to read them yourself. The context is a little askew, but just to, and you definitely should take the time to read them all yourself. But anyway, here it is, and this one is starting off from McHugh, the Breitbart editor, and she says, Neil, Julia, and I are going to do a series of stories on non-white SAT scores. To break it down, Neil says it's easier for people to digest the way and change their mind. And and of course you know what they mean about that. The non-whites show how uneducated non-whites are. Stephen Miller says, on the education angle, makes sense. Also, you see the Pope saying the West must in effect get rid of borders? Someone should point out the parallels to the Camp of the Saints. Yeah, like I said, you know these things. These are dog whistles. In another email interaction, and we don't have the full emails yet, by the way. We just have little snippets, and I'm not giving everything I've read and everything that's out there. So, um, in another email, he says, Breitbart says, Mark Levin just said there should be no immigration for several years, not just cut the number down from the current 1 million green cards so they can assimilate better. And Stephen Miller says, like Coolidge did, uh, did Kellyanne Conway. See, I apologize because their emails are such, the grammar is horrible. I'm going to read it just like the email. I actually changed the last email, the way that he said something, because I corrected his writing. But I will respond in Miller's. He says, like Coolidge did, Kellyanne Conway poll says that is exactly what most Americans want after 40 years of record arrivals. And these are just small little excerpts. Hate Watch Report, however, has not released most of the emails. I'm curious to see more and more. It's just disturbing that this is the guy who has set policy for America right now. And I don't believe any of it's going to change. We know now that without a doubt, undisputably, that there is a racist in the White House right now, right in the president's ear. It would be the president's job, you would think, to step up and fire him, but you know he won't. Trump will get behind him and support him. The sycophants on mainstream media like Fox News, they'll support them. The senators will support Trump and the media. And most of you who are Republicans will support those senators and politicians. It's almost like it doesn't matter anymore. Our country, in just the few years I've been alive, has changed dramatically. I say this because when I look at social media today, did I see anything about an attack on 700,000 Americans? No. Did I see anything about Stephen Miller's racist emails? No. It's disturbing. Maybe we need to pull ourselves away from the funny memes and the bullshit fest that we look at day after day. Watching people do things like make cakes or fall. Whatever. Maybe take 5 seconds to plug in and look at what our government has become and what we're actively doing. Because it's not going to pass. You wonder, you look back and you say, yeah, but 400 years ago, they were really fucked up back then. They did slavery. You know why? How that happened? They didn't care. They dehumanized these people and they let it happen. What do you think we're doing right now? By not standing up, speaking our truth, we're not protesting in the streets, what do you think we're doing? And it's going to keep on happening because as Americans, we don't give a shit about our country anymore. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys. Please like, subscribe, all that stuff. For the main show, you can find us on iTunes, Google Podcast, Anchor, all that stuff at Revolution Radio. Thanks a lot. Have a good evening, guys.